I want to welcome everyone to our 100th annual meeting. It's great to see everyone come out for the meeting and to be part of your cooperative governance. And we're certainly glad to have you. One of the things that I want to do is be sure that we recognize Klein's Catering for bringing us such a good meal. They come out and done this from Perry, Oklahoma. And we appreciate what they did for us. We've got some special guests, although all of you are special, but most of you are members. We've got some people that work with some companies that we work with that we want to recognize. We've got a good contingent here from Winfield, and they're going to be scattered around, it looks like, a little bit, but we want to call on them, and Merle's going to talk a little bit about them and what their purpose is here tonight, other than to honor y'all at having a meeting. So we want to start with Ethan White with Winfield, back in the back corner. Kevin Gopsner, here he is up here. John Stotts, over there. John Crawley, back there, and Greg Birdwell. Thank you guys from Winfield. We appreciate you being here tonight and helping us celebrate. With Cinex, we have Jed Miller and Rocky Bell. They work with us real closely on our fuels, and we certainly appreciate, and oil sales, appreciate them a lot. One guy that most of you probably know or remember from years around, he's been around anciently. He's trying to disguise himself tonight as a gentleman, but Jim Warren, you'll need to stand up for this one, Jim. They need to see your disguise, if you would. Notice the goatee. We applaud him for giving that to us. He's with the Co-op Council. He does a lot with us in our training, and then Director of Education with R.J. Gray. We have Todd Fluhoff. Lindbergh Vogel will be up here in just a minute. Tobias Carson is with Kobe, and we certainly appreciate all he does for us. To run a business, you need a good banker, and we feel like we've got a good one in Tobias. Another thing you need when you're running a business is insurance, and we've got Clay Greedy here with Triangle Insurance, and we're certainly glad to have them as a partner. The other young man that we're going to introduce is Ryan McCoy. He's with CEA. And we'll be talking about him a little bit later in the program, but we appreciate Ryan for being here and being a part of that. And for those of you who don't remember, CEA is our marketing group for grain. Together with Comark Equity and EMA, they joined last year, and so CEA is the LLC that we work with for our marketing and merchandising of grain. Together we own the train loader at Megg. So that's the CEA that we're talking about. And do we have any guests that I have not recognized? Good. Melody did a good job. Thank you. Got us all the names.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Jared Bates, our secretary, for proof of quorum.
Mr. President, I'm pleased to announce that we have a proof of a quorum.
Okay, very good. First off, what I'm going to do is there's a correction needs to be done on your statement. Actually, Jared was the vice president last year. He is the secretary this year. And Tim Ohm is the vice president. We have those switched. So if anybody was wondering about that. At this time, I entertain a motion to dispose of the minutes of the last meeting. I also have corrections on that. There's an error on the tonnage. It should be 5,000 tons, not 50,000 tons.
That's in the building.
Yeah, and 10,000 tons, not 100,000 tons. That's on the fertilizer, we just misstated that. So I'd entertain a motion to accept that with those corrections. You want me to do it now? Dan made it. Is there a second? Second by Mark. All in favor, show voting cards, please. All opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I would like to bring up Todd Bluhoff, our CPA with Lindbergh, Vogel, Pierce, Ferris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I can direct your attention to the financial statements you should have received when you checked in this evening. Inside, you'll find a balance sheet and an income statement. Before we get into the financials, I always like to comment just briefly on our opinion letter that our firm issues on your cooperative's financial statements. And basically what it states is that our firm did audit your company's financial statements, and based on the results of our audit, we feel these statements are fairly stated or it's a clean opinion. Moving into the financial statements, since the results of operations directly affect financial positions, I'd like to go over the statement of operations first, which is going to be on the right-hand side, and then we'll come back and talk about the balance sheet on the left-hand side. Statement of operations. Well, before I get into the statement of operations, I guess I want to point out one other thing is, as Ronnie mentioned, your association joined the Grain Marketing Alliance, and that happened last year on April 1st of 2016. So your 2016 financial statements are going to have some information in there where there's zeros this year because you did run your own grain operations for a few months in that year. So that's what's going on if you see that they're not really comparable. You didn't have some grain sales and retail and stuff this year that you had last year. So looking at the statement of operations, it starts out with sales. This year's sales were $8.9 million, almost $9 million. As you can see, that's down $6.3 million from a year ago. And if you look up there, that's just what I was talking about, is the retail grain sales are zero this year, and they were $6.5 million last year. And the reason it was last year, again, is you operated and sold your own grain for the first few months of the year before it transferred over to the Grain Alliance. Items you sold cost you $7.5 million, giving you a gross margin on your sales of $1,461,000. The next section of the statement of operations is the other operating income section. This is where your cooperative accounts for storage and handling, service, financing, and any other miscellaneous revenues it may receive throughout the year. They total $3.2 million, up $1 million from a year ago. And as you can see, the increases in that first area, the related party income, and that's associated with the Grain Marketing Alliance. So we had it for a full year this year, so some of the grain margins that were up in last year are down, have shifted down to the grain or the related party income. Adding your gross margins to your other operating income will give you a gross income from local operations of $4,739,000. Then you need to take into account your expenses. First, the personnel costs. These are the costs of employees, not only the salaries and wages they're paid, but any payroll taxes or any other benefits paid on their behalf is included in this amount. Fixed expenses consist of interest, insurance, property taxes, and depreciation. And the other operating expenses of the items won't fit in either of the above two categories, such as your repairs, supplies, and utilities. Your expenses totaled $4,405,000, down about 3% from a year ago, and that's mainly attributable to a smaller harvest in 17 versus 16. Deducting your expenses from your local gross income will give you the earnings from local operations of $334,000, a $325,000 improvement over a year ago. Then you need to take into account your non-local earnings, and they total just over $399,000. They're down $435,000 a year ago, and you can see the big decreases in the last item, patronage dividends area, how you receive less income allocated to you from your regional cooperatives. Adding your other earnings to your local earnings will give you pre-tax earnings of $733,000. Deduct the income taxes associated with the non-member portion of those earnings, giving you a net bottom line profit of $654,488. Being distributed as follows: $438,000 is going out to you members in the form of patronage dividends, of which 60% is being paid in cash. And the balance is non-member earnings that are being credited to the general reserve. Questions on your statement of operations or anything I've said thus far? Moving into the balance sheet. The balance sheet tells the financial condition of your cooperative at any given point in time. This has to be as of the close of business in the last day of the calendar year for 2017 with comparative information for 2016. First section of the balance sheet is the assets section. An asset is something that you own. A current asset is one that's cash. We expect to convert it to cash within the next 1 year. Your current assets total $4,347,000, up just under $900,000 from a year ago. And if you look in that section, the bigger movers are right in the middle where it says related party receivables. That $1,698,000 is due from the Grain Alliance. And then the other mover is inventories. The next to the last one, the inventories is up $326,000, and that's due to you guys carrying more chemical inventory at the end of 17 than you were at the end of 16. Your investments consist of corporate stock and equity. Your association owns in various area and regional cooperatives such as CHS and CoBank and Land Lakes. And then the limited liability companies represent your investments in the joint ventures like the Grain Alliance and Northwest Investments. So your investments total $6 million, up $314,000, with mainly due to deferred patronage from the regionals and more investments in joint ventures. After taking your allowance for depreciation, you have a book value remaining in your property, plant, and equipment of $2,628,000. And then finally, you have some other long-term assets totaling $170,000 down with current maturities. If you add together all your asset classification subtotals, you come up with total assets as of the balance sheet date of $13,658,000. The other half of your balance sheet is the liabilities and equity half. A liability is something you owe someone else. Current liabilities once due and payable within the next year. Your current liabilities total $3,139,000, up just under $800,000 per year ago. And this increase makes sense. Your current assets were up, your current liabilities are up a similar amount, so you're financing the increase of your current assets with current debt. The long-term liabilities once due and payable January 1st, 2019 or after, they total $2.9 million, down with current maturities. Then the final section of your balance sheet is the equity section, and this is where your cooperative accounts what you members have invested in your association and the various forms of capital, stock, and allocated equities, along with any after-tax non-member earnings accumulated up through the balance sheet date. Your equities total $7.6 million, or just under 56% of the assets are funded by you members in the form of long-term members' equity. You add together your liability and equity classification subtotals, you'll come up with your balancing figure of $13,658,000. Is there any question on your balance sheet or any questions I can answer for anyone this evening? Hearing none, I'll turn it back to Chairman.
Thank you, Todd. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to accept the financial statement. So moved. Is there a second? Okay, we got a second. All in favor, hold up your voting cards, please. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. At this time, I'm going to turn this thing over and let Ronnie give his manager's report.
Okay, we certainly are glad to see everyone again tonight to help celebrate this. And, you know, we want to welcome you to this 100th meeting. We've successfully completed our 100th year as a cooperative. Last year we got to celebrate our beginning as a cooperative and enjoy to look back at our roots. If you remember, we had several people talking about the co-op and how it was formed and the way it was in the 50s and 60s especially. We talked about the vision of the founders of this cooperative and the vision of all of our elected directors to serve on the board through the first 100 years. This vision seems to have been by working together, cooperating, we can accomplish more than we can individually. History has proven, this has been a successful vision. Our 100th year ended very successfully, as Todd just mentioned. We were in a board meeting last month, and I gave the board a terrible January P&L report. And I had to remind them that as bad as it looked, it is better than January 2017 started out. So look what can happen if we give it some time. In agriculture, we have to keep our eye on the future, as we have to remind ourselves that the wind does not blow 40 miles per hour every day. And the rain will come, even if it's not at our convenience or at our request, on our time schedule. We have to remember our vision, and we can overcome the windy days and can come through the dryness that is part of this country that we call home. Why do we call this home? Because we can't envision being anywhere else. We have the vision that what we do is good for our family, our neighbors, and our community, and that makes it feel like home. We'll be passing out some patronage checks in a little bit, and hopefully don't everybody rush back. It'll be a while. So hopefully it'll remind you of a successful 2017 on your farm and the hard work that you put in, and also the part that Alva Farmers Co-op Association contributed to that successful year for you. As you allow us to help you become successful, your cooperative is successful. Your cooperative with your neighbors to govern and support this cooperative contributes to the vision that began 100 years ago. We're honored to be a part of your business, and we ask for it every day. We want to be there every day and ask you for your business. And when you receive your patronage, you will get patronage of $438,665 in total patronage, as Todd mentioned. Those are patronage dividends that were paid, with 60%, as he said, being in cash and 40% in deferred payments or equities. And if you sold your grain, you're receiving over 7 cents a bushel for all the grain that you sold this last year in that patronage. If you paid storage, you're receiving 13% of that back. If you bought fertilizer and chemicals, you will receive over 5% of that purchase price back. The fuel and oil and grease purchases that are paid this year, over 2% patronage. Merchandise and feed purchases included the farm supply, Buffalo's merchandise and feed, and the qualifying products from the tire center will pay back over 5% in your patronage check. So $263,199 of that will be in cash. That's what these checks that are at the back of the room will total to, and we're so glad to be able to give those back. And we want to be able to thank you for your business again. We can't do that enough. And I want to mention our partners through or via LLCs that we're in. And I mentioned a while ago Ryan McCoy being with Comark Equity Alliance. And as I mentioned, it was through the merger of two LLCs, one basically from Kansas, one basically from Oklahoma and Texas. The one in Texas happened to cover all 3 states. So it's a pretty good size co-op, Harrington Equity. But that lets us handle over 150 million bushels of grain. And that's big in the grain industry. That's a lot of bushels, and we're glad to be a part of it. If you remember, that's part of the train loader at Medford. We feel like that's an integral part of being in this LLC, and one of the reasons that we sure wanted to be in it is the merchandising opportunities that we have because of this LLC. But probably one of the things that excite me the most, and Ryan is going to be a part of this, is the educational side for our members. We plan on through CEA of having some classes for our members, our producers, on marketing skills, marketing opportunities, how the different contracting opportunities that we have, and a lot of that due to the scope and size that we have to deal with, and I think that makes us unique within the industry. So we thank Ryan for being here tonight and also being part of the vision that CEA has, not only for the LLC, but for this part of the country, and we thank you for that. Our other LLC, or one of our others, is Northwest Investments, which is our fertilizer storage LLC that's located in Ames. We talked about this last year at this meeting. It was just beginning and getting to go, and we had high hopes for last year, and we did fairly well, except we had some operational problems. We had a design flaw in our what am I trying to say? Our conveying system to get worked out, and we did. So we didn't run the tons through last year that we had envisioned. First of all, if we had sold all that we had envisioned, we wouldn't be able to get them out because of the problems that we had loading trucks. But those have been worked out, and we're looking forward to a big year as we go along. Now then, I'm going to preface that when the rains come, we're going to sell a lot of fertilizer. I think there's going to be a need for it out there because I don't think we put any on last fall or any this spring to speak of. So hopefully we're going to have a catch-up year as we get some big rains going through this year. Another LLC that we're involved with is our Producers Investment LLC, which is the marketing arm for all of the fertilizer that we do. They buy, we have contracting opportunities through them. Last year we did a good job of contracting. We just didn't have a good job, get to do a good job of selling for lack of interest from people that don't fertilize during the drought for some reason. We'll have to figure out how to get around that one of these days. But we're proud of the LLCs, the size that they make us without having to merge with anybody. We've been able to cover a lot of bases with fertilizer and grain, and so that's helped us increase what you have marketing opportunities from, and we're very proud of these investment LLCs that we have. And we're always proud to be distributing patronage checks. It keeps the vision in sight, 1 year at a time, and we want to work toward our successful life in agriculture. While the money is important, the people that cross our paths and impact our vision will long stand out. We employees of your co-op strive to cross your path in many ways. Several employees have had a hand in writing the checks you will receive in the back of the room. And Charlotte Merle, our office manager, will introduce her crew. Before Charlotte does that, would the managers come to the front, please? They wouldn't have come if I didn't ask. You have to stand up, walk to the front to be able to do that. Tasha. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get it to them in order. As they come up and make their way up here, we've had some of the employees interact with you a few weeks of the year, but they work hard to be prepared for harvest and well-maintained legs. And we'll talk about that in a second when I introduce that. But Charlotte, I think I mentioned you a while ago. I'm going to ask you to introduce your employees that are here.
Melody Friedman, she's at the back. And just the two of us right now.
Well, and we've got some help from Tasha.
Yep,
So,
Tasha's helping us.
we have got a young lady that most of you noticed being a little absent the last couple of weeks. Caitlin Murrow and Kyle are moving to Sterling, Colorado. And in fact, Kyle's on his way back there now. Caitlin will be headed that way at the end of the week. They closed on their house here, so we're going to miss that young family and Caitlin in the office for sure. So we're proud for them and the opportunity that they have, though. We talked about Charlotte introducing her crew, and as we talked about, we have other employees out there that you just see a few weeks out of the year. These guys, for the most part, you just see when you bring grain in. But they're very instrumental in what they do and the way we run our business because they take care of that grain year round. Miles Peterson's crew, Miles is our production manager, and his crew has done an excellent job. We stayed full the last couple of years. We've had very few problems with grain storage. In fact, we've taken some problems on from some other elevators, been able to lean them out and make that even work better for them. So we're proud of what we do there. And when you're dependent on grain like we are, having good people in the grain side as well as the accounting side is so key because it's not something you learn in a year's time how to take care of grain. It's a practice, kind of like medicine. You just have to get better at it every year. Learn all the problems that there are every year. It's kind of like farming. You have to forget what you did last year because this next year is going to be different. And that's the way grain storage turns out. Miles, you want to introduce your crew?
Yeah, my guys all sit here they got to go eat first, so they're probably ready to stand up. Lucky dogs. Anyhow, I'm proud of each and every one of them. I'll start over here. You want me to stand up. Chase Sandoval, he's kind of been at Hopeton, works at Elevator B, works wherever I need him. Brock Martin, he does whatever I ask him. There we go. Brady Inky, you see him at Elevator A and wherever. Michael Hart, he takes care of Elevator B and he helps do a lot of the, well, they all do. We all work together. So I'm very proud of each and every one of them. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Next up is our newest manager with Farmers Co-op, and we're certainly glad to have Kevin Pingleton at the Tire Center. He has taken this on. He's been used to sales. He's been with FSA office. He's a good people person, and I think those of you that know Kevin know exactly what I'm talking about. And we're certainly glad to have him. He's beginning to learn a lot about tires and inventory and what all it takes to make a tire go down the road straight. I don't know if Henry's going to have time to train him in all of the things that he knows yet, how to make it stop or not. But we'll see how good a teacher he is. Kevin, do you want to introduce your employees? At the Ampride Tire Center.
We have two here this evening. Jeff Bush, he is the head of alignments, tire repairs, getting guys on tasks if I'm out. So Henry Moore, he does brakes, oil changes, tire repairs, pretty much everything. Two great guys. We got a great crew up there. I can't say enough about these two. They've got the years, they've got the experience. They're great teachers to me and to our younger guys. So big round of applause to these guys for keeping the wheels going.
Thank you, Kevin. The Farm Supply has long had a long-term employee or a long-time employee, Carol Hires, retired this year. She keeps coming back once in a while. She was out for a few days. Adam turns his back and she shows up. He comes back, runs her off again this week while he's from his trip out of town. And I think we're going to have her back or she's agreed to come back when the plants come in and everything. Carol, would you stand up for a minute? We've enjoyed having Carol around. We're going to miss her, but we're going to keep her around for a while, as long as we can. I'm not sure Adam has the green thumb to be able to replace Carol at this time, so we're going to be looking for a green thumb to replace. But I'm going to let Adam talk about his other employees that really they're known for their friendly, courteous service and their knowledgeable service. Adam?
Well, you kind of pretty much took it all out of my mouth right there, but, you know, she's got a greener thumb than I do, and I couldn't really keep her out of the greenhouse. She kept showing up and poking around, so if you're on Facebook, keep track. We're going to be getting plants, maybe not this week, but for sure the following week. It'll be before the 10th, so keep a lookout for that, and I'm sure Carol's going to be helping us plenty with that. She already has, and we got all that in the works. Cody Briggs, Damon Wisman, I know you all know them both. They're not here tonight, but you know, every time you come in our store, I get comments occasionally from people, and it's usually just out of the blue about the service they get in our store. You know, it could be something as simple as a nut in the bolt, or fixing your toilet, or a leaky faucet, but that means a lot, and if you get the chance to thank them personally, just pass that along. But I couldn't be any happier with the help I've got. Real tickled to have Carol to come back and help us with the plants, and I think spring's just around the corner, and hope maybe something becomes of this moisture that we're kind of feeling. So appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Adam. Of course, I think really everybody knows Tasha Hamill. If you don't know her, Tim's excited he's running a little bit.
That's a heck of a prayer, Lynn said. I don't know why you didn't say it earlier.
But Tasha Hamill is, for those of you that remember last year when we were here, she had moved over to the Tire Center. She did a wonderful job there. We needed somebody back in our oil sales where she had been, and probably the biggest help other than oil sales is Facebook advertising for us. We've been doing a lot there. She's even got ads that go with the newspaper, helping do that. She's working with our co-op dollars, with all of the managers and the businesses they buy from, the vendors that we have, and that's been a huge improvement for us to be able to be sure that we're capturing any advertising dollars that are offered from our vendors. And so that is a big deal that she's been working on. And like I said, Facebook has been something that she's working with. I know Diane at Buffalo's got some help, or she gets some help from Diane and vice versa, I think. And then there at the office, she's been doing a lot with all of the managers, and we appreciate what she's been able to do for us. So number one job, sell oil. So thank you. Oh yes, Charlotte mentioned that Tasha's helping fill in as we transition away from Caitlin. She's learning a lot of the accounting processes that Caitlin was doing, a lot of the grain posting and writing grain checks and stuff. So you'll probably see her name on a few checks coming out. So we appreciate her for taking that on. She's always wanting to learn something, so she better not say it too loud, because we've got more yet that she hasn't tried. Merle Ridgway and his crew is probably some of the guys you guys know the most. They're on your field several times during the seasons, spraying, fertilizing, chemical burn down. So you probably see them, other than maybe the office, about as often as anybody in some of the other retail businesses. So I'm going to ask Merle to introduce his crew, and then also he's got a few words to say about Winfield and what we're doing with this corner back here.
Well, Glenn and Gavin, they're out spreading fertilizer out west, so they're not here. So, but they're out and about. Between them two, they've got 20, 25 years experience putting fertilizer on, so they're not new by any means. So then we have Rick Rhodes. He's on our sales. He's back on our table back there with Winfield. Matt Campbell, he's also in sales. So, and then we have people here from Winfield, which we're partnered with Winfield, and they're the ones that we call when we can't answer your question, and they do a great job in keeping us lined out. So if you have any questions on chemicals or seed or soil sampling, they'll be back here at the back after the meeting. And if you have any questions at all, you need to ask them, because they got a lot of information they can give us. So whenever you see the Winfield advertised on TV, you're a part of that. That's where we get 90% of our chemicals from. So they're one of our biggest suppliers, and they're our partners. They're wanting us to grow. So they're not like some companies, but so that's about it.
Okay, I think as one of the things that Matt and Rick have planned is a video that they'd like to show people that are interested in what we call the R7 program. That's the soil sampling and what is it? Not grid technology. It's zone technology that Winfield has come up with to help. Instead of the grid sampling, we use zone sampling to be able to help you identify the places in your farm or fields that are better producing areas, the ones that are lighter producing, and then be able to plan accordingly to the fertilizer that they take in. And they've got a video back there. If you're able to watch it tonight or during the rest of the week, you come by the office. They're going to put everybody that's interested in that in a hat. And Matt, what's going to be the prize that you're going to give away?
We're going to give away an 80-acre zone sampling worth about $400.
Okay, so we're going to do 80 acres of zone sampling for the winner of that.
Yeah.
So watch the video tonight, come in during the week as you have time, and then Friday afternoon they'll draw for that 80-acre zone sampling giveaway. So we appreciate a lot of that comes through the Winfield guys. We thank you all for being here and being part of this tonight. So thank you a lot.
Beverly.
Oh, Beverly, how would you be the last one? How could you be last? For those of you that know, Beverly is our Buffalo location manager, and she's been with us, been manager 6 years now, right at. Started out as secretary over there and has worked her way up, and she's we talk about how good a job she does every year. And I think the fact that we've got several coming in from Buffalo since she started coming, became manager, we just keep growing the contingent coming over from there. We keep doing a good job with the grain that's there at Buffalo. So she's got a good crew, and I know it's hard for all of her employees to get over here. She'd have to let them quit work early just to make a 6 o'clock meeting, and she's tougher than that. She's mean, but she did bring some with her. So Beverly, would you introduce your employees?
Yeah, I just have one here tonight. She just started first part of January, Diane Rutger. She is my new bookkeeper, and she's doing a great job. Glad she joined the team.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing there inside the store, Beverly, that's different the last couple of years.
Oh, I've just started adding some more stuff into the store, some plumbing, some windmill parts. We're just trying to expand. There's not a whole lot of places to shop in Buffalo, so we're trying to cover that gap and just listening to the customers, what they're wanting and needing. And so far, some of the stuff that I've got in is working, so I guess I made the right choice there.
Okay, thank you, Beverly. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Ronnie,
Yes.
before we forget, we forgot to announce, April 10th, from 10 until 2, we're having our customer appreciation downtown. So follow the smoke from Merle's Hamburgers. We're going to be having plant sales. I think some of the other departments are going to be having some specials that day too. So make sure to mark your calendars, April 10th.
So April the 10th is when Carol comes back to work for a few months, or a couple of months, is it? Okay. April the 10th, we're going to have a hamburger, hot dog feed, and kick that time frame off. So we appreciate the customers that we have. You know, we have a very family-oriented crew that works real well together, and I'm proud to be associated with them, with all of them. But the vision is maintained by your board, and the family-oriented philosophy of the cooperative is supported by them. This group has become a mixture of experience and youthful energy. Maybe not the exact words that Tim Owen would use, but very appropriate words that lead to some introductions. For those of you that have been around a while, you know that Randy Sweatfigger is our board president, and you can stand up if you want, Randy. Or if you don't want to stand up. Okay. Vice president, the correct one is Tim Owen. Secretary Jared Bates. And our sage and experienced director is Kenneth Waugh. And our coaching director is Darrell Buckholz. And our associate director is Clinton Masslonger, sage and woman, I think. So he'll be getting some experience along. So give these hands, guys, a hand. You know, it's truly an honor for me to be the general manager of this cooperative, and I thank the board for the opportunity to work with this group of directors, this group of employees that you deal with on a daily basis, and they continue to make this co-op a great place to work. And it's our members who are charged with maintaining the vision of this co-op. It's your job. Your involvement in the governance and patronage of this business. And we appreciate you for taking it seriously. We appreciate you for being here tonight and being part of that governance, elect the people that you want to see running this company, and we think you've done a good job in doing that. And I'll close with thanking you for your business again. Thank you a lot.
Ronnie, us as a board, we want to thank you for the job that you do for us. You make our job a lot easier. So I think he deserves another round. Thank you. At this time, we'll have the board election process go. I'd like to have Franklin Murrow, which is the chairman of the nominating committee, to give his report for number one position.
With the nomination, Jared Bates.
Okay, Jared Bates has been nominated for the nominating committee. Is there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? Is there any nominations from the floor? Okay. If not, all in favor, raise your voting cards. All opposed? Jared won. That was easy. I would like to know, does anybody know what acclamation means? Just throwing it out there. Okay, we'll open it up for position 2.
Put it in the name of Kenneth Law.
Kenneth Waugh has been nominated. Is there any nominations from the floor? I knew it. Is there any nominations from the floor? Is there any nominations from the floor? If not, I'll have a show of voting cards to keep him. All opposed? Kenneth, you won. I like these kind of processes. Okay, we got that taken care of. Right now, let's take the nominating committee process. I always love this one too. What we have is Franklin has served a 3-year term. Well, let me back up. Nominating committee is 3 people for 3-year terms. Every year you move up, and then the last year you're on it, you're the chairman, then you get to get off. So part of it is we'd like for you to find your replacement. Sometimes that doesn't work. But right now, it's Elwin Hopen has been appointed. I'd like to thank him for that. He will be the chairman for next year. So at this time, I would entertain somebody to do a 2-year term on the nominating committee. I'm going to need 2 people. Okay.
Rodney Rutger.
Yep. Rodney Rutger. Awesome. Rodney, will you accept that? Sweet.
The professionalism.
We don't have to.
Right.
Okay, we'll have to vote on this. Well, I guess I have to ask from the floor. Is there any nominations from the floor?
Put them in my acclamation.
Awesome. All in favor? Show of voting cards.
Who is it, Randy?
Rodney Rutger. From Buffalo. All opposed? Thank you, Rodney. You're in. Okay, now I'd like to open it up for another one, which is a 3-year term. So, is there any nominations? Okay. Clay Boziden has been nominated. Clay, will you accept that? Is there any nominations from the floor? I know one of you knows what acclamation means. I know.
Look at him. He's just
Are
loving
there
it.
any nominations from the floor? You're going to make me do it. Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, at this time, all in favor of Clay Boziden, raise your voter cards, please. All opposed? Clay, welcome to the family. Okay, I'd like to thank these lovely ladies that helped us draw. Appreciate that. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. This is your company. It's important that you do that. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second? All in favor, show of voter cards. All opposed? Thank you for coming.